Hello, everyone. How are you? And happy Friday. I am Julie Riley, the social media manager here at StreamYard, and I am with my co-host who is on the road today, Christian. How are you?
Doing great, actually. And by the way, I'm so excited. For starters, I'm getting to use StreamYard from mobile. I don't normally use StreamYard from mobile. I use from a desktop. So I'm excited to try this out, but I'm even more excited about today's guests that we have on Learn with StreamYard. We're going to be talking about live stream accessibility, right, Julie?
Yeah, we are. And I want to put a disclaimer out, guys. Christian is not driving. He is a passenger. So for anybody going, don't stream and drive. He is not the driver. He is safe. He is good. He's cutting in and out a little bit, so he's currently froze. We're going to just move him off for a minute. So yes, we're going to be talking about accessibility. So captioning, sign language, sign interpreters, some of the things that are really important to creating that all-inclusive community when you're live streaming. So we're very excited to talk about this. Before we bring up our guests, I do want to mention a couple of things that we have going on. We have in the StreamYard community right now, there is 1 week left of the month of April. And this whole month, the community has been participating in VEDA. That is video every day in April. And I have to say, we have had some amazing participants of VEDA who have been diligently participating every single day and getting their content out. And the purpose of VEDA is really that. It's to create that consistency, to build your foundation of your channels, of your streaming, and to get in the habit and get that flow going. So we've had some that have participated every single day. We've done weekly prize drawings, and we've done, there we go, had a pop up on the screen. So we've done weekly prize drawings, and then we are going to be doing a grand prize drawing at the end of the month. There is still plenty of time to start creating that content if you haven't already. Get the last weekend and create some content every day. We have a thread up in the Facebook group, the StreamYard community, where you can enter in your daily stream that you're doing. And what you'll do is with that daily thread, you'll then go put a link to whatever content you created. And with that, you're entered in the weekly drawings and you are entered in the grand prize drawing. So that's been a lot of fun to see the content that everybody has been creating. So now I'm going to introduce our amazing guests. We have Dan and Orla. Hello, how are you guys?
Hey, Julie. Hi. Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Nice to meet you, Julie.
Yeah. And we'll keep Christian on the backstage there since he's a little in and out. It's great, though, to see that we can still have that there, that the mobile does work. And the only thing that he's hitting is just that typical when you're on the road, the signal not being so steady because he's actually moving on the road. He is in the car.
That is the most frustrating thing about your phone.
Yeah,
losing signal.
If we could just get to where we are all synced to those like unbreakable signals, that would be
one day.
Yeah. I don't think it's that far off. I've seen some of the satellite stuff that SpaceX is working on, and it's crazy. So
cool.
So you guys have AccessLOOP. And tell us about AccessLOOP and really how you guys got started and kind of the foundation of building that.
Yeah, okay. So do you want me to start, or do you want to go for it, Orla?
No,
so my background is I'm an independent webcast engineer and producer. And so a lot of the issues that I was facing were, people coming to me asking for captions and then finding a workaround and trying to make it, easily sort of visible and all that sort of stuff. So started working with Orla about 6 years ago. But yeah, I'll let Orla sort of pick up a bit about what she does as well. That's a brief intro.
Yeah, that's great. So Dan and I worked together for many years. I run a live captioning company, My Clear Text, and we were just hitting walls all the time, particularly around the pandemic. And we had so many clients wanting to use StreamYard because it's so easy and fantastic to use. And we just couldn't get captions in. And Dan and I were racking our brains trying to hack it, trying to not just StreamYard, many other platforms. And we thought, you know what, we just need to provide the solution. So AccessLOOP was born.
Awesome.
And we're very pleased with it.
So let's talk about live streaming and really the importance of that accessibility and why this is such a needed feature.
Sure. I mean, I can talk quite about that. So, accessibility, it's about making your meeting, your conversation, your night out, your event, your building, your home. It's about making it open, welcoming, and accommodating to as many different kinds of people as possible. And I think it's really good to think about your events like that. It's just trying to accommodate as many people as you can. And it isn't all about big, expensive things that you need to do. There's lots of things you can do around accessibility on your events that can give the signal to people to say you're thinking about other needs. So I put my pronouns on. That's such a simple thing to do. But what's that saying is I'm respecting the fact that some people don't like to be identified or assumed to be identified. Like as a woman, I would say she, her. Other people may not want that. And by putting my pronouns out there is saying to other people, put your pronouns out there because I want to know what you want to be identified as. So that's very easy. No problem. You can do that on every event. I think things like using very large font wherever you can. I'm a glasses wearer. I love a large font. I'm always saying to Dan, make that bigger, will you? I don't have any access need. But if you do everything with large fonts, you could provide your slides in advance. You could put all text on those slides and send them out before the event. Anyone who's visually impaired or using a screen reader would find that usually really useful. And they're just little simple things. And then you can get into things like captioning, sign language, audio description, things like that. Yes, they are bigger things, but they're really something that everybody finds useful. Do you want me to talk about the benefits?
Yeah, definitely.
Because there are many.
Yes,
and I
we
think
need to hear all about those.
You do. Everybody, this is my life. I think it's really important, that question, who benefits? Everybody benefits. So, large font, I benefit. Captioning, that's a really easy one for me. There's been a new European Web Accessibility Directive. It's the law. In America, you have amazing accessibility laws around captioning. Mm-hmm. So it's something we all need to think about. In the UK, there are 11 million people who are deaf and hard of hearing. That's 1 in 7 people who will benefit from captions or sign language.
Right.
That's a huge part of your audience. There's 15% of the population in the UK have got neurodiversity. So people with dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD, auditory processing disorders, they're all people who benefit from captioning. Mm-hmm. They may not request captioning, but if you have captioning on, they're going to use it. And if they've had a long, tiring day, if you don't have captioning, they may decide not to engage with your content. 7% of the population in UK have got English as a second language. They love captioning. Yes. Because I listen to someone speaking French, it's blah, 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 blah. If I read it, I can actually understand it. Andrew, the captioner, I'm very sorry for my what I just did. So, when we worked for a big corporate, they were having trouble engaging their audience, and they had people from 26 different countries, and they decided to put captions, and they bring in the CEO, they bring in all these important things, and people were on their phones and chatting. They put captions on the screen, the main screen. The woman organizing the event sprinted over to us afterwards and said, everybody was watching the content. Why? Why is it the captions? And I said, because the English level wasn't as high as you thought, possibly. So it's a huge benefit to people who are watching your content who have English as a second language. We're working from home now. I've had my dog taken out and I've sworn my teenage children to silence, but we're in noisy environments, yes. So captioning helps. And then older people, it's just a better engagement with your audience. It's a really visible way to sit there. You've thought about people's other needs, and it's just normal now, I think, to have captions on things.
It is.
So rather long answer, but yeah.
No, I love that. I keep trying to get my husband to turn them on when he watches videos because I do. I work in a busy environment where, I'm taking in so much content all day that he'll come home and sit on the couch and then watch YouTube videos. And I'm like, can you put your headphones on or go put the captions on? Like, I don't want to hear it. So exactly. Yeah. It's kind of that. It's, even those of us who aren't needing it for necessarily accessibility,
Absolutely.
That side of it is.
Yeah. I mean, totally. I mean, when I watch videos on Facebook, if it doesn't have captions, I usually just skip over it, because I don't really want to hear all the noise and all the stuff that goes alongside it. There was recently a push in the UK about encouraging people to turn their captions on the television to help children to be able to learn to read better, because if they're seeing the captions, they're seeing the words, and they're kind of making that association with what's being said on screen, it really helps the reading proficiency of a lot of children.
That makes complete sense. Yeah.
And I think when people are deciding, oh, do I need to put captions on? I think, there's probably not going to be that many deaf or hard of hearing people watching. Well, there's that huge hidden audience we've just thought about. So, and if there aren't captions on things, I tend to just move along and watch something that does have captions.
I don't have the exact numbers, but we just had our Livestream Success Summit. And we had two things available where we had a sign interpreter on screen with us while we did it, but we also had a second tab where people could go access captions during it. And they were live interpreters that were writing out the captions, so it wasn't AI.
Sure.
And we were shocked at the number of people that we had, the stats that had clicked over to that captioning. We just really didn't expect the number to be that large. So it truly was eye-opening of going, yes, this is a desired feature.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important, the point you made there around AI, because AI is, it's better than it has been, but it's very much, it's just, sometimes I think it's just like, it's cold words is all it is. Whereas a captioner, a human captioner brings flavor. And we all know that if we eat food without flavor, it's very bland.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make an impression and we don't remember it. Whereas food full of flavor is something we enjoy and remember and we feel happy around. And I think that's the difference between AI captioning and human captioning. I'm a captioner myself. I will do everything I can to make sure people know this is a joke, or somebody's just shouted, or somebody's made a funny pun out of a word. I'll make sure everything's there so you can relax and know that you're included in the conversation. And we do lots of different types of stuff, and we've worked a lot with people with Tourette's syndrome who have tics. So they will shout out various words. It's not always about language or different kinds of language. We always put their tics in brackets, and we were just to show the whole person.
Yeah.
So it is very much part of who they are. And the feedback from people with Tourette's themselves was just phenomenal. They were so pleased to see everything there, everything represented, rather than us sanitizing it and just. And I think to myself, I'm not sure what AI would do with half of this. But, it's things like that. It's the nuance. We ask people with stutters, would you like us to reflect your stutter, or would you like us not to? It's just respectful of how we handle the content that people are giving us and what you would like reflected.
Right. So let's go into a little bit more about how AccessLOOP works and how this is set up within a program like StreamYard, which we had some interesting tech issues that was on our end this morning where, I said the tech gods were not smiling upon me this morning. And it's kind of funny because it's followed me from one meeting to another. So I'm blaming it on me at this point. It's not. So, normally this would also be streaming to our Facebook page. Of course, right before we went to go live, found out that I am locked out of the Facebook page at the moment. We'll be getting that fixed. So we're over on YouTube and just the Facebook group. But we have the RTMP set up for you guys for your access. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So Dan, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So basically what we've created is a tool that you can stream a custom RTMP stream into the tool, which will take the full stream. So one thing that we're really keen to do is when using StreamYard, you're obviously limited with the number of slots that you can have. You don't want to be using those slots up, for sign language, for example, or even if you've got a captioner in the green room as well, they're slots that you could be using for your guests. So basically what we really wanted to do was take it outside of that production environment. And and then you can have your own separate thing. So what we've made is a tool that streams in the captioners, the sign language interpreters. They join within the tool, and then you can then stream from there. They'll get all the sound, all the video, everything will be right there. You don't have to set up separate calls. I mean, some of the jobs I was doing, you've got Zoom calls, you've got WhatsApp groups, you've got everything going on, and you're trying to bring it all together as one thing. It's been such a headache for me as a webcast producer to kind of figure all those things out, whereas this just sort of takes it outside of that, and it's
very simple to use. Yeah. And the other thing Dan hasn't mentioned is around the sign language element. To add sign language onto a virtual stream is incredibly difficult and complex. It requires hardware. It's even more like captioning. We require more hardware. There's software. There's this. There's that. There's calls, but actually the sign language piece is incredibly difficult. And it does require someone like Dan or someone involved in the production switching between the sign language interpreters. Now, Dan's sign language is non-existent. I can vouch for that. And, he has to then be on a WhatsApp group with someone going, change over now. And then he just has to hit a button and hope for the best. And we were chatting to a guy in Australia who was really interested in the platform. And he was saying that his team had to learn the signs for it's a changeover now, and that's how they would do it. So, this is not a simple thing to add accessibility onto any kind of live stream. So we really wanted to solve our own problems, but also solve a much bigger problem that we could see. And the link is fantastic, the URL that you guys had, which is great. But it is great to be able to watch the content and see the captions underneath, so you can feel fully included, without juggling two screens. So that's, for me, as somebody who has done this for many, many years, it's always the thing that I'm trying to make happen, just to keep everything on one screen.
Yeah.
So we are streaming this to our page. We were hoping to get it into your page as well, weren't we? But with the tech issues, we didn't. But we will share that with you guys afterwards.
You can see how
an
it
example
looks.
of how this stream itself looks with the ASL and with captions.
Yeah, and we'll be uploading that all to our YouTube channel, and we'll share that out to Facebook and everything. So everybody will get to see how that would all look in the one screen. Yeah,
we will do a demo as well at some point. But I'm sure.
Would you like to do a demo now, Dan? I thought that's what we were up for. I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm ready.
Go for it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So let me just share my screen.
So we're going to set up an event, and we're going to create a dummy event, and I'm going to be the captioner. Okay. Dan, did you want to be the sign language interpreter, even with your non-existent sign language?
Of course. You know me. I love to be on screen.
You do? No, not at all. Yes.
There was a time that one time in a faraway life that I knew sign, and
really? Wow.
Yeah, when I was in kindergarten here in the United States, we had 2 deaf students in our class, and so all of the students were required to learn sign to communicate with them, and then we had an interpreter that would teach all of us how to do it.
Fantastic.
And then, of course, that was at 6 years old, so then you move on with your life and you don't keep using it, and unfortunately it was a skill I lost. But
that's fantastic, though. That's a fantastic solution, rather than the deaf children having to adjust to a hearing world. You guys are adjusting. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's
so good to hear.
Cool. So I have my screen share down there. Would you be able to bring that in? And then I can. So what we're going to bring up first. This is the project dashboard. So this is where you can see sort of upcoming projects. There we go.
Cool.
So as you can see, we've got the Learn with StreamYard going. So that's taking the stream now and it's sending it to a couple of destinations on other groups. So you can see previous projects, but we're going to.
Can we look at that one or not, Dan?
Yes, we can.
We could look in on that one.
So this is what's happening in there.
So this is live.
But now you're just seeing loads of repeating, so it's not the best way to show it. So let's do a demo of Learn.
Dan, don't type live, Dan. This is not your job.
I could not be a captioner because when I'm under pressure and I'm typing, it just goes horribly wrong. So you can set your time zones. You can set the duration of your event, anything up to 24 hours, which
we have done many 24-hour captioned events.
And then once you've created your project, then that brings you into the producer window. So this is what the producer window looks like. And what I would generally say is start at the top left. So these are the details which would go into StreamYard. And conveniently, I have a StreamYard window open. So I can show you step-by-step of how to set that up into StreamYard. So when you create your broadcast, you create a new destination and you set up the RTMP server. And then you just copy the details across. Just make up any name. That's just for your benefit. So I just generally say demo. And then that'll bring you into your StreamYard window. So there we go. I'm going to stop my camera. And then what you can do is you can just hit go live, and that will start streaming into AccessLOOP. So I'll just stick that back over there. Once you've got that going, then you can go into your destinations. And this is so what you would need to do, and this is something that different probably a lot of the StreamYard users do, is often you'll connect your account to your Facebook or your YouTube, so you can schedule within Facebook and YouTube. This is a slightly different way of doing it, and there's a couple more steps in the process. So you would need to set up a Facebook Live event or a YouTube Live event and take the RTMP details from in there directly, rather than it just pressing a button to schedule it and then pressing go, which is really easy, and I love it because it is so easy, but it does mean you can't do this. So this is just another step in that process. But once you've done it a few times, it's really easy to do. And then you can toggle on your captions. You've got a couple of options, so yellow font or white font, or you've got large or small font. I always go with large, especially if I'm working with Orla, because like she said, she needs things large.
Thank you, Dan.
And I'm going to invite Orla into this because she's a captioner and she always has her captioning equipment ready and available.
I do. I just suddenly thought, yes, I do. Of course I do.
And that's how easy it is to invite the captioner in. You literally just put their email address in, put their name in, send the invite, and they'll get an email which has instructions on how to join, and then a button to join the event.
At this point, I need to say how lovely and how much I enjoy using AccessLOOP as a captioner, because it's just, I click a button and I'm in, and that's it. And that is a beautiful thing if you're a captioner. It's funny, before the event, the captioner kept saying, so do I need to do this? I'm like, no, AccessLOOP does that. What about this? Do I need to connect it? I'm like, just come into AccessLOOP and relax. And he said, I keep forgetting how easy this is. I keep forgetting how little I have to do, which is great. He can get on and do what he's amazing at, which is awesome. Captioning. It really is. He is. Andrew Howell, shout out, awesome captioner.
He is doing a great job. So you have exactly the same process with inviting the sign language interpreters, and I've invited myself twice, and I'll show you why in a minute, because this is one of the beauties of AccessLOOP, is that the sign language interpreters manage their own changeovers. So as a producer, I don't have to wait for them to stop and then change over, which gets really messy. Often I miss cues. I've done jobs where my only job has been to switch over the sign language interpreters, and I've missed the cues, not because I've missed them, but because the person who's presenting is presenting too quickly. I'll get the message saying we'll swap in the next slide. The next slide comes and goes really quickly, and there's just no time to do that. Right. The other thing you can do as well, which is really helpful for StreamYard users, is you can scale the incoming video. So what that means is that you won't miss any of the content. You won't be cutting someone's face off, or or missing out on any of the banners or anything that you bring in. And then there's a chat box which you can chat to your captioners and sign language.
Yeah, I'll get in there. Sorry, in 1 second. I'm having a captioning emergency, believe it or not. Julie, thank you for giving me your tech woes today.
I swear. See, and I don't think I
It's
started
catchy.
it.
You know it is. No, I think you caught it from someone else.
I caught
for
it from
sure.
someone else this morning
For
at our
sure.
first meeting, and yeah, it
Yes,
is
it's
truly
just spread
contagious
to
today.
the world now.
Yeah, it's the weekend,
Right.
so hopefully we can have a break from tech over the weekend.
Yes, I'm like,
If only. Sadly,
I
people
know.
run events at weekends. I'm
Yes.
just getting in now. So
So I'm going to join. So this is what the sign language interpreter will see when they join. So they get the option to select their camera. So I can just select mine and then join. And then if I join with my other one, just open that on a separate browser over here. For like
and what's really
screens in front of me.
fantastic about the sign language piece is that they can co-work properly. So current setups don't always mean they can see each other. So sign languages support work. So they'll feed each other signs. They'll signal to each other if there's, sometimes they might swap over because someone has more expertise in a particular speaker.
Gotcha.
And all of that, they can do all of that within AccessLOOP really seamlessly, which they can't do right now, which is brilliant. We spent time talking to sign language interpreters, captioners, what you need, what you want. Dan, and then it was all our expertise as a caption company, and then Dan's expertise as a live streamer, and that's all that's gone into AccessLOOP.
Yeah. So once we're all set up, I can press start, and then that will start streaming to my destination. And this will go, and we'll start seeing the stream, which is coming from my StreamYard account. So there I am as the sign language interpreter. You can see the captions coming through. And what I'm just going to do is switch over to the interpreter's view. So I'm the current live interpreter. And then the other one, who's on my screen over there, can request control. And now I've seen that Dan has requested control.
Okay.
So I know that the other interpreter's ready. And then when I've finished, I just hit give control. And then it just flicks over.
That's perfect.
Which, if you knew what that took right now in a live stream, that would be a great relief to you. When we show that to people who do this regularly, they're just like, oh my God. So
Yeah.
it is a huge change and a huge, what do they say? That's a game changer usually, isn't it?
Yeah, or mind blown.
Mind blown.
Yes.
That's usually it, yeah.
That's where you need that emoji with the explosion.
Yeah,
coming out.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can't get the emojis to come out in my captioning. It's really annoying. So this is me. I'm captioning here. I know you can't see me, but underneath me is a stenography machine.
Okay.
And I'm captioning. But it's actually really hard to caption and talk.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Too many things for my brain to think about.
I'm lucky if I can walk and chew bubble gum. I definitely could not caption and talk.
Yeah, singing and clapping is the one for me. I just can't do it. I can play my guitar and sing, but
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I would get hung up on typing versus talking, and I know that they would not come out together because my words would be coming out at one speed and typing at a whole nother. And
yeah.
So we
There
did
you
have
go.
somebody ask, what is the cost of AccessLOOP?
Sure. There's a monthly subscription charge, and then you get 1,000 minutes free streaming. So that's 16 hours, nearly 17 hours.
Okay.
And that means you can use the platform as much as you want up to those 1,000 minutes. You can run concurrent streams. You can run as many streams as you like, really, within that time. And it's in pounds at the moment. We are working on definitely sending it over to dollars, but it's £150 for that month and 1,000 free minutes. So
Okay.
Yeah,
and that's for
captioning.
just captioning. So Dan, you can talk about it yourself.
And then if you want the sign language option as well, that's £350 per month. So it's a very niche product, and we can't compete anywhere near, with what you guys charge, which is, I mean, for what you can do in StreamYard is phenomenal for the price that
But
it is.
for reaching those right audiences and really
Exactly.
bringing in that inclusivity, and as somebody, as a company, if you're doing events, this
It's
is
really
so,
important.
So
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, and I think
thing-
that go on, Orla.
No, the thing to remember is if you were doing this without AccessLOOP, it would cost you a hell of a lot more money, time, and effort. And it's taking out layers of production. And it means that people who are self-producing events don't need to know how to use a mixer, don't need to know how to use live streaming equipment. They don't need to know how to use switchers. set up multiple calls and feed them into their StreamYard. It just takes out so much of the work.
Yes.
And you saw there, we just set up captions and BSL on an event in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen. So that's what we're trying to achieve. That's what we worked very hard and spent a lot of money on trying to achieve.
Yeah, a lot of money. One other thing that we can do as well. So if I come out of here, I'm going to create a new project. This is really useful particularly if you're using an international audience, or you're reaching an international audience. Is within AccessLOOP, if you put in English captions, what you can do is you can set the output language to be different. And what it will do is it will take the English captions and it will translate the sentence into another language. And there's a list of over 100 languages that you can use. And then it will just overlay that on the stream. So you can see here, we can stream to 10 separate destinations at a time. So you could have, English and 9 other languages, or even 10 other languages and no English,
what AccessLOOP does is it translates it, overlays it, and then sends it to the destination. So it does all of those jobs for you.
That is awesome.
And we have tested the translation with someone who was a full-time interpreter for a large corporate, and her job was to translate documents and content into various different languages. And she was like, show it to me. And so we did. And she said, I'm really surprised. She said, that's the best, because it is still AI, but it does no listening. Mm-hmm. So I am typing grammatically correct, in context sentences. So if we have people with English as a second language, I'll tidy up the grammar, I will write what they meant to say. And then that goes into the AI and it translates the whole sentence. So it's not word by word. There's no listening. It's just full text. So she said that is the best AI she'd seen, and it was very functional, but she would have made it prettier. So we took that. We took that as a vote of confidence. So yes, and they are going to use it for their events.
So if somebody was using this tool, is there a library of people they can reach out to for their sign interpreter and their captioners, or how do they find those then to bring into the tool?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And one thing that we are doing, because we work in that space, we can definitely signpost. And obviously, we work Orla. And I know Orla was itching to say, but Orla and her business partner, they run a captioning company that works with sign language as well. So, we can definitely signpost, if there's no obligation to use Orla and her team.
No, there really isn't, because we could have very easily just bolted this onto my clear text, use it as a business tool, but I really felt strongly that this is absolutely about accessibility. This is about people wanting to use their own interpreters, their own captioners, their own suppliers that they're comfortable with, and not having to tie themselves to one company. So we really do mean take it, use whoever you want. It's not attached to us. Our clients are using it, obviously, but but we can signpost, and we have relationships with a number of different companies in the States as well that we would signpost people to.
That's great, and that's great that that's an option. And absolutely. Obviously, you have the resource of reaching out to ASL sign interpreters versus BSL, since there is a difference there.
There is a difference.
We can't simplify anything in life. We have to have a difference there.
Yeah.
At some point we'll get a universal.
I think so. Well, there is international sign language, which everyone can use. But yes, to a point. But accessibility can be simple. I pointed out some really simple ways of being accessible. But there's some other parts of it that are more complex, and in order to include those audiences, you have to provide something that is a little bit more complex. And you really have to try and get into the nuance of that. And most really good interpreting firms and captioning firms will really be able to help you understand that nuance and understand what it is you need to do to reach these audiences properly.
Excellent.
And we just want to make it easy to do that.
I love that. We have a question from Nick Nimmin, who he says, is this something that can be used on YouTube Live? So I know, we had the RTMP and the streaming over to the Facebook. Can this be delivered then over to YouTube Live?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So this can be used on any streaming service that will take an RTMP feed. So if you set up your YouTube live, you can't set it up in the same way as I mentioned earlier through the StreamYard scheduling with YouTube and Facebook. So you can't connect with that way. But what you need to do is just go into your YouTube account and create a live stream from there. And then you'll get the details and you just pop them in the destination here. So this will take, you can stream to Hopin, you can stream to anything else that will take the RTMP in. So Nick, looking forward to seeing you guys using it.
Yeah. So this one's a good question. John is asking, would you have an ASL and a BSL signer on at the same time for a global stream, or would that be too confusing?
What we would suggest in that situation is running 2 streams. So running one stream with ASL, one stream with BSL, and then making those available to your audience so they can choose.
That makes sense. Yeah. So kind of like the same with the captioning translation there,
Sure.
sending them to the right language.
Yeah. And just to kind of add to that point, with AccessLOOP, you can run multiple projects as well. So you can have as many projects running as you want. So if you wanted to send out a stream with ASL, a stream with BSL, you can, and then another one which has multiple languages coming out. There's so many different options of ways you can use this. We've got one client who are using it in a few weeks where they want the ISL, International Sign Language, but they want it with 4 different language captions as well. Translations. So we're doing something which we're now calling loop de loop. So we're setting up one stream which has the sign language interpreter, and then that's streaming into another project, which then they're overlaying the multi-language captions in different languages.
So we're sending the AccessLOOP stream into another AccessLOOP project 3 times because that's the new stream. So I have to say that was my hack. I'm gonna take that. I thought Dan would think of it, but it was mine.
I was getting there.
You were,
and I love the title of it, the loop de loop. I mean, it's just fun.
Yeah, we've done it now. We've named it.
Yeah, so there's a day coming up May the 20th, which is Global Accessibility Awareness Day. So if you're not already doing something which is accessibility focused, it's worth looking into that and thinking about doing something specifically for that audience, because I think it would just help to really increase your reach as a live streamer.
Yeah, I just made a note of that.
Brilliant.
I was like, that's good to know. I'm like, I love having a whiteboard desk because then I can just grab my little whiteboard pen and write on my desk real quick.
That's such a good idea.
I know. I'm just thinking, I need a whiteboard desk.
You just have to watch where your arm rolls, because then if you move it over.
And I'm left-handed as well, so it's a whole world of left-handedness.
So John asks, what sort of additional delay would the loop de loop incur?
Yeah, so one thing that's really good about AccessLOOP is that it doesn't add much delay at all. It's less than half a second. So it's kind of, you're not going to notice that at the best of times. And we really put a focus on that because we're sort of also looking to the future of hybrid events as well.
Yeah.
So what you can do is, when you set up a captioned event, you can take, let me show you let's go back into this one. This is the right one. You've got, so we use a text platform called StreamText, and you can copy the event name, and then you can then have that in the room using the Streamcast system. And so the captioners can be remote, but then you can still have the captions appearing in the room as well.
Yes, which is fantastic because having captioners in the room is a different cost attached to it, depending on where you are. We have access to way more captioners because they're remote. We can use them from all over the world. So it's a really great thing for accessibility to have your captioners remotely. And a big shout out to Nick and Anson at StreamText, because they worked with us to build in their platform in the back of AccessLOOP, which is why you get such amazing solid text coming out. So yeah, they've been fantastic.
So what is the website we should direct people to if they want to go learn more?
It's accessloop.com.
There you go. Simple enough.
Nice and simple.
We're also doing a what we call a looped in event, where we're going to do some more demos next week on the 27th. So we can put some information around that if anyone's interested.
Yeah.
So
yeah, perfect.
Oh, thank you. See
There
how
you go.
great. This is
I
why
know.
we love
Over
StreamYard.
there, type it in.
Look at that.
I
Yeah.
know.
Why we all love StreamYard.
Banners on the
So-
fly.
Exactly. So we'll be using StreamYard for our looped in event next week.
Yes, we are. It was quite amusing. We were doing an AccessLOOP demo last week, and we spent half of the time talking about StreamYard and how these guys should use StreamYard. So we have been doing lots of shout outs.
What are some other things that people need to know? What do you think, as far as really how to get started? I mean, we've kind of gone through the how the tool works and the why and all of that. Are there any other bits you want to make sure you share?
I have something that I would really like to share, which I think is hugely important. If you want to add accessibility into events, you need to get some budget.
Yes.
We've talked about very free and easy things to do, which are really useful. And if you can't afford a captioner and things like that, then I think you need to think about providing transcript afterwards, which is quite hard work, but it's definitely worth it. And but get a budget. And just remember that every time you want to reach a new audience, if you're a company, you have to do some market research. You have to do some marketing. You've got to spend money on those things. You've got to change your product maybe to reach out. They all cost money. This is just the same thing in terms of reaching a new audience and having a diverse audience. That's the cost of it, and if that's just the facts are the facts. And I think people go, I'll use AI. If I'm somebody who's profoundly deaf and I'm looking at AI, I'm saying these guys really don't understand me and I'm done. I'm out. And, I think, people's families, I work in accessibility. I notice when things aren't accessible and I walk away. So I think that's the walk away pound, I think they call it, or dollar.
And the AI, while it's way better than what it used to be, is still not there. I'm have joined into some meetings where they've used the AI at the bottom, and it's kind of become the running joke in the comments of what the AI is, words that AI is creating versus what was actually said. And especially when you get into people that have accents or, are maybe not as slow and clearly spoken. If there's somebody who speaks faster, which I've been known to do sometimes, and they start going and that poor I can't keep up. And I'm sorry to the person who is captioning this.
That's Andrew. I do think what's interesting around AI is if that's all you can do, people say, oh, it's better than nothing. Sometimes it's not. Okay. Sometimes it's just not. So public service, any information the world needs to know, AI is not the tool to use.
Right.
But if you are going to use it, then support around it. Give the slides in advance so at least the person understands the context of what's been spoken about. So give some background summaries of what the speakers are going to say. So when there's mistakes, they already have the context. So they don't have to work so hard to figure out what's being said. Have somebody who's maybe in contact to maybe add a little prompt. They're talking about this, they're doing that. So it's just about supporting people. If you don't have those funds to bring in a caption and all of that, and all you can do is AI.
This is a great question.
Claims of them being 98% is not true.
So John also wants to know, are you able to get a transcript from AccessLOOP afterwards from your captioner?
So AccessLOOP is a pass-through. So the event passes through, the access goes on, and out it goes the other end. The transcript is something that will live with the captioner. So that's something you need to discuss with your captioner or the caption company that you're working with. Yeah, but they can definitely supply transcripts, and some of them can supply SRT files and all sorts of other things, which are subtitle files. So that's something to talk to your captioning company about or your captioner about. It's not something we're doing at the minute, but we will be providing guidance around it.
Okay, excellent. So with that, we also have a question that is, who should add the accessibility? Does everybody need to be looking at this, or is this kind of more of a, case-by-case scenario, depending on the level of who you're talking to and who you're streaming?
I would always say everybody needs to have it. But I've said my piece, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's so many different ways of doing it, and also, the budgets and all that sort of stuff that we've already talked about. So this might not be the right tool for everybody, but it should be, in the sense that everything should be made accessible. Just from my personal experience, I have family members who suffer from hearing loss, and they felt very isolated throughout the pandemic, just because the automatic captions haven't been very good, or they've not been there, or all those sort of things have just really sort of isolated a lot of people. So and then I think, I'm not sure whether this is sort of kind of linked with that same part of the conversation. So in terms of who runs the AccessLOOP side of it, well, we haven't sort of specifically aimed at one type of person. We've tried to make it usable for everybody. We've deliberately kind of followed the principles of StreamYard, made it simple. I know that's one of your sort of key things, So it means that it's not down to the techies like me to do it all the time,
We had a joke. We had a running joke. It was my joke. We were trying to, when we were working with the developers, they were like, what about this? And I'm like, we're trying to put Dan out of a job. Keep that in your mind. So anything, we're trying to literally put him out of a job. So that was our ethos and our drive, really. Because we wanted self-producers. They were our clients using StreamYard at the time. And then we also had some AV companies who were using it. And it was to take the production work out for them, very complex events, make it easy. But for self-producers, they don't need Dan, which some people were using, and then they could just use AccessLOOP instead of Dan. But I would say, if you want to pick what you should caption, anything that has information that you want your customers or clients to understand, get captioning and sign language on there if you can. If it's people with lots of different accents coming in and out that are, different speakers with different accents, I would put a captioner in. That's going to help everybody, right? Anybody, just really have a think about this and think, would this be useful to the audience I'm trying to reach? The answer is always yes. But if you do, like Dan said, have funds that are limited, you can break that down. And we're always happy to help you with that. So with advice, I'm very mindful of people's budgets all the time.
I love that. Before we wrap things up, because I want to make sure we have some more time for thoughts, I want to give everybody a chance. We are going to do a giveaway today.
I want this. I want this. My answer, please.
We'll have to work on that. We'll get you one, Orla.
Thank you.
So we are giving away. We have the brand new. They just came out, I believe, last week. I don't even have one yet. The StreamYard plush. If you don't know, our duck has a name. His name is Puddles. And so you get to win Puddles. Put in the comments, #LoveStreamYard. And we will do the giveaway on that.
Seriously, I'm doing that right now.
She's like, I'm going in for it. So enter in #LoveStreamYard. We have the giveaway tool. It looks like it is entering. It's telling me there's an error, of course, because it's like tech crazy, but it does look
just
like
give it to me.
Are going
just give it to me.
We're gonna give that away. I know I'm loving that plush. Andrew, you only have to put it in once. I'm using the giveaway tool, so it's only gonna record you once today. But yes, and you will get entered for we'll put it up one more time, Puddles plush. So excited for that. I know I can't wait to get mine.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
It's a beautiful thing.
What other thoughts do you guys have around this? What else do you want to share?
I mean, anyone who wants to have a demo, give us a shout. We love doing demos. It's we're finishing each other's sentences at the minute, and we've just been doing demos wall to wall at the moment, and we love it. And it's great just to introduce people to this whole other world, which is amazing. And, just reach out with any questions about anything to do with this. We're really happy to give information out and advice out around this. And I was thinking about what you said about, people come to us and they have 60 events and they go, I want to caption 60 events. And I go, okay, that's going to cost a lot of money. Why not pick the most popular events or D&I related events? Let's look at this. Let's think about what would benefit. So I think that's a really useful thing to think about.
Well, let's pull up. There we go. So we've got the giveaway.
Brilliant.
Yay.
And we're gonna draw the
Can't
winner.
believe only
Drum roll.
11 people won that.
I've really got to get some drum roll music for this.
Oh, it's close.
Oh,
Yeah.
John! Yay!
Oh,
I love
yay.
it. There we go. All right, John. You can send me a direct message and I'll get that, or you can email us at contact@StreamYard.com, or sorry, marketing@StreamYard.com. Wrong email. So email us at marketing@StreamYard.com and send me your address, and I will get that sent to you in the mail.
This is me emailing marketing, pretending to be John.
I am John.
I will have that done.
We will make that happen for you, Orla.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely. So
Cool.
Congratulations, John. I'm so excited for that. Coming up, we are off next week. It will be Coffee with the Ducks, where you get to meet one of our StreamYard employees. And then the next show up is on May 7th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, where we are going to have Annette from Easel, which is one of my favorite graphic design tools, showing you how to do overlays and create your backgrounds and all of the fun design stuff to make your stream look prettier. I want to thank you guys, Dan and Orla, so much. I'm super excited about the accessibility of this tool as well, and the way it just delivers the look on screen.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the key thing there, is really just having it all into that one screen that looks so nice and clean and polished. So
Yeah.
That was the plan.
We're
That's
very
good.
excited, and
We are.
we're constantly looking at ideas to develop. We've got a massive long list of things we want to add in, but as it comes, we're sort of taking each step as it comes. So
awesome.
Definitely.
Well,
Great stuff.
with that, thank you everybody for tuning in. We will be sharing out the video that shows you the captioning and the I've lost
Sign
my
language.
Yeah, it's
Sign
the
language, don't
Thank
worry.
you. I was like,
It's
the captioning
that day.
and it is gone. A little bit later, once we get that, since we couldn't show you that directly on our Facebook page with the
Sure.
wonderful tech issue today, but we rolled through it and we were still able to show. I love that we were still able to bring it up and show on screen how that looks.
Brilliant. Thank you so
Great.
much for having us. It's been great
Yeah.
to do.
Thank you guys.
All
And
right.
thank you everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Go make good
Yes.
choices.
Take
Thanks a
care.
lot.
Bye.
Bye.